I decided since I wasn't here today and we are just putting latitude and longitude together that I would record the lesson as if I was there so that you would still get the same information. This is the packet that you picked up today. Don't forget that in the upper left-hand corner you always put the correct heading. So here should be your first and last name. Underneath that should be my name. And then you are either G1 or G4, whichever period you are. And then lastly, the date, 10/30/17. Even though it has name here, we don't use that. We are always putting the correct heading in the upper left-hand corner. So again, first and last name, my name, the hour, and then the date. As we start this sheet, this is a really basic introduction to putting latitude and longitude together. Question 1 is just focused on latitude. Question 2 is just focused on longitude. And 3 wants location. So it wants the absolute location, the full coordinates. If you don't think that you will remember, I'm going to have you label off to the side that this is latitude. All of these numbers go along with our horizontal lines, our latitude lines. And these numbers go with our vertical lines, which are our longitude lines. Across the top, you're going to write longitude so that you remember that this is the lines that go down. For our first one, for our letter A, which is right here, it says what is the latitude of. So I said earlier we're just going to follow these lines, and this says it's 60 degrees north. So on the line, I'm going to write 60 degrees north. That is the latitude of point A. Number 2 says what is the longitude. And I said earlier that these are longitude lines because they are running vertically. This one, which is where point A is connected, is 150 degrees west. So I'm going to write 150 degrees west for point A on number 2. When I get to number 3, I actually don't even need to look at the map anymore because all it wants is this and this put together written like a coordinate. When we write coordinates, our latitude, which is our north and south, always comes first. So I'm going to put my 60 north, comma, 150 degrees west, and that is the location. So the absolute location, latitude and longitude, is 60 degrees north, 150 degrees west. So for point A, right here, I now have the absolute location. We are going to switch to looking at B. So B is right here. When I'm looking for the latitude, it's actually on the same line of latitude, just a little further down the road. So I will once again write 60 degrees north because it's still on the 60 north line. My longitude is different. So for my longitude, it goes up to this line. So my longitude is 80 degrees west, right here. And again, number 3, I'm just putting the two together. I'm writing the coordinates. So I write 60 degrees north, comma, 80 degrees west. For point C, it is right here. I want you to first look what line of latitude is it on. I'm going to give you a second. Figure out your latitude line and write it down. Hopefully you connected that it's 48 degrees north. Then for point C, I want you to think of your longitude. So follow the line up. What is your longitude? I'll give you a second to write it down. Hopefully when you followed it up, you came up to the 80 degrees west because it was on the same line, longitude line as B, and so it's the same as B was. So when I write my C, again, it's just going to be pulling these two down. So 48, my latitude is 48, ooh, I'm at the bottom of the page, degrees north, 80 degrees west. It's not letting me zoom in. 80 degrees west. So I'm going to give you a second to double check that you have all of that in the lovely handwriting. You are going to be doing the D, E, and F on your own when you start the packet. So D, E, and F you are going to do on your own. We are now going to look at your second page. For your second page, we're looking at latitude and longitude of states. So it really just wants to know where the lines intersect. What state is that? For 30 degrees north and 100 degrees west, it's giving it to us still right on the line. So it's still helping us a lot because we don't have to estimate in between yet. So for the first one, 30 degrees north and 100 degrees west. So I'm going to find my 30 degrees north line. My 100 degrees west line is right here. That's my longitude. And I'm looking at what state do they intersect in? Do they meet? And they meet in TX. Hopefully you know that TX is Texas. So you would write Texas on the line. I would like you, whenever possible, to be able to tell me what these stand for. So some of them you might be a little bit not as sure of, but I would like you to try to actually put the state names and not just the abbreviation. For number 2, 40 degrees north, again, you'll follow the line, and 110 degrees west, you will look for where they intersect, and I'm not going to give you the answer, but I know you can figure it out. So you would figure out what state is that. This is your page 3. For this question, you're just using the map to answer the questions. So it says the equator is what degree latitude? Even if you didn't remember from what we talked about, it does have it right here. So the equator is 0 degrees latitude. And then a lot of the questions are just where are things located, things like that. Do not be tricked on number 4 when it says name one state west of the 140th west meridian. It's not like a state that you have to guess. It very clearly says that it is the name of the state. For the map, my one concern is being able to tell where things are. As you get further in the map, it asks you questions about Peru. Just so you know, the border of Peru is right in here. Not that I can color on the line. So Peru, you might want to trace it while I have it up because it's going to ask about what lines is it between, and it's a little hard to see on yours because of the photocopying. But Peru is right in here. Same thing with number 8. It asks about Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. Those are 3 separate countries, and they are over here. My pen's not working for some reason. Here's Guyana, Suriname. Why aren't you writing? Ooh. And French Guiana. Oh, I did not trace that well. But there are 3 countries there. So when it says they are all located between 50 west and the blank meridian, so if this is your 50 west, as it says it is, what other meridian are they between? So I tried to kind of show you, but just do your best. Again, I know the photocopying isn't great on most of that. I think Argentina you can see okay. Argentina's down here. The long skinny country on the side is Chile, so don't be. The rest you should be okay. Otherwise, just try your best. It's all practice. Page 4 is a lot like page 2 was, except it's a little more specific and we have to start estimating. So on this, we're not doing states, but we're doing the city and state. It also is starting to go in between. So here's 30 and here's 40, so you have to estimate where 33 is. The other is 112. Here's 110, here's 120. Again, you have to estimate where those things are. This isn't like rounding up. You don't go, oh, well, it's closer to this line, so it's 40 or it's this one. You have to estimate, not round, in latitude and longitude. So for 33 north, if I know that there are 10 degrees in here, I can kind of do like little lines to help me section it off, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I haven't even counted. But I could do like 9 little lines, or it might be easier if you just kind of estimate like, ooh, this is the middle-ish. And straight lines are not my thing. So if I can go, okay, that's the middle, and I know that there are 10, so 35 degrees, because 5 would be half of 10, 30 to 5 degrees here, and I'm looking for 33, then I know it's going to be somewhere in this-ish range. For 112, and I'll just follow. Again, straight lines, not my strength. For 112, it's the same. If I'm thinking that this is 10 and I want to cut it in half, so then I know about 115, and then I know 112 would be less than that, and I can estimate, okay, where did they intersect? My 2 lines, my 112, this was my 112, and this was my 33, met right around in here. So the city that's closest is Phoenix, and it's okay to put the abbreviations for this one. So it's okay to put Phoenix AZ, Phoenix, Arizona. For the next one, let me just try and erase a little bit. Oh, hey, clear all. No, I don't know what that means. Big eraser. I'm using a new program, so I'm learning it as we go. So for 35 north, that one's, I already had 35 line, I just erased it, but remember we were estimating that 35 was halfway-ish. And 78, I know 78 will be between 70 and 80, close to 80. So if I'm thinking, okay, one that's close to 80, Raleigh would be my answer. If you didn't get the state, gives it to you right there. Raleigh, NC, which is North Carolina. So again, you should have city and state, but the abbreviations are okay on this page. This page is a mapping page that actually goes along with the last piece of paper, which has this map and this map on it. So I actually want you to go to the back of your packet, the last page, which has this map and this map, and I want you to just rip it off. I put it on the back on purpose so that you could pull it off so it was easier to do your maps. So go ahead, pull the last page off. You want the map that says 4 states. So you want this map, and we are doing this page with it. This is a little bit of a weird page because it has 3 different sections. It has a section where you are going to be writing coordinates, writing cities, and writing states. To me, it would be easier to do states than cities than coordinates, but it goes the opposite way. But we are going to practice actually backwards, starting with the states. So I actually want you to look at the bottom. Ooh, I drew a line somehow. At the bottom where it says state. And when you're looking at this, it says 32 north, 36 north, which makes no sense because you can't be 32 north and 36 north at the same time. What they've done is they've given you both latitude and then both longitude. So this 32 north goes with 110 west. This 36 north goes with 114 west. And it'll be the same all the way down. The first number of the first set will go with the first number of the second set. So just kind of be careful when you're going. For this, what we're going to do is I'm just going to put a dot where these two intersect. So I'm going to go find 32 north and 110 west. So here's my 32 north on this map. Here's my 110 west. I'm going to follow my lines, and I'm just putting a dot where they intersect. Then I'm going to go to my second set of numbers, which is 36 north and 114 west. So now I'm going to make a dot at 36 north, 114 west. And so basically looking at my two dots, what state is between or is the majority of what's between the dots? So it is Arizona. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to write Arizona for my state. The second one, I'm going to have you change that to 37. It makes more sense that way. So change the 36 to 37. Something else that's a little odd about this sheet that I'm going to have you just take note of are that they used half degrees, and we don't usually use half degrees. So I want you to just circle them to be aware that these are odd. It will affect your answer a little bit, but we don't normally do things like that because it makes the numbers look more confusing, and it just is more confusing. In real latitude and longitude, you'd have degrees, minutes, and seconds. So the halves, again, circle them. Just note that they're a little bit different, and it's just telling you that you're going to estimate closer towards the next number, but really they shouldn't be there. So for the next part, we're going to practice finding city. They've already done Glenwood for us, so we're just going to look at the second one. The second one is 41 north, 112 west. So when I look at my map, I'm looking for 41 north, 112 west. So here is 40. And if you see they're going, so it's 38 and 40, so that means in the middle there would be 39. So 41 has to be north of this line. So 41's going to be somewhere around here. So 41 north and 112 west. My 112 is pretty close to the line. Well, it is a line. So basically I'm looking for what city is at 41 north, which would be about here, and 112 west, and it would be Salt Lake City. So on my sheet, I'm going to write Salt Lake. My pencil doesn't want to write there. Weird. City. And the top where the coordinates are. The second one they have is for Tucson, Arizona. So we are going to find Tucson, and we are going to write the coordinates for Tucson. So I'm going to go back to my map, and I'm going to find the city of Tucson, which is right here, and I am going to figure out what are the coordinates for Tucson. So I have my 32 line right here. Here's 34, and I can estimate that 31 would be somewhere in the middle. So when I look at Tucson, I need to decide, is it close enough to 32 that it's still 32, or is it closer to the 33 line, so it should be 33? When you are deciding that, remember that there are 69 miles between each line of latitude. So even though it looks like a line, remember 32 is 69 miles, 33 is 69 miles, 34 is 69 miles, so it's actually a pretty wide space. So for Tucson, I would say it's probably still pretty close to 32, but I would also take 33. Either one of those would be fine. So I'm going to put 32 north, and then I'm going to try and figure out what longitude it is. We are between 110 and 112, so that means Woo. In the center would be 111 degrees west. So again, I have to decide, is it close enough to 110 that it would be 110, or is it more like 111, or is it 112? And it's, to me, really close to the 111 line. So I would put 111 degrees west. So 32 north, 111 degrees west. Something that I want you to take note of on this map is that there are 2 cities named Delta. There is Delta, Utah, and there is Delta, Colorado. So if you think that you are using a delta, so if you get a delta as an answer, if it's this delta, you would write it Delta, comma, Utah. If it's this one, you would write Delta, comma, Colorado. So make sure you're making it clear which delta you're doing by putting the state when you figure out that part. Because your map is in black and white and it's hard to see, do note that they do have the dotted lines. This is showing you where the different states are. So if you are trying to figure out later, like I can't tell, when you're trying to figure out states, if you can't tell where one starts and ends, look for the dotted line, and that's where the different states are for each. This is the map that goes with the last part. So you should flip over the one that has 4 states, and this is on the other side. For this last worksheet, you are looking for countries in Europe, or excuse me, cities in Europe, writing their countries and the coordinates for each. So again, you're identifying latitude and longitude. So when you look at your map, if you think you're going to get confused, I would write a little note to yourself off to the side that says latitude, and at the top or the bottom, I would write, or maybe both, longitude, so that you know that these are the vertical numbers that are the longitude. Even though it looks a little weird, because remember it's getting closer to the poles, you're going to see more angle to the line, to the Earth. So that's why you have kind of a sideways tilted view of Europe. So for the first one, they've already filled in London, the latitude and the longitude. London is on the prime meridian. So the longitude is 0 because it's the starting line. The only lines that don't have direction are the prime meridian and the equator. So the 0 is just fine there. Otherwise, everything else needs to have a direction with it. Otherwise, it's wrong. So the first city we're looking for is Belgrade. So I'm going to go back and look at my map. I'm going to zoom in. Remember, when you're looking at a map, if it has a dot, it's a city. So all of these dots, dot city, dot city. You can also tell because the cities are a lighter font and the countries are very, very bold. So here's Belgrade. It is in the country of Yugoslavia. So I'm going to write on my sheet, Yugoslavia. And then I'm going to go back and look for the longitude and the latitude. This is a good time, if you didn't spell Yugoslavia before, to write down Yugoslavia. So when I'm looking at the map, looking for my latitude first, we always do latitude first. Here is my 45 degrees north line. So if I follow it across, and I can't even trace a line, Belgrade is pretty darn close to the 45 line. I have 5 degrees between each of these, so I can kind of mentally, or actually mark off the 5 degrees. I think this one's still pretty close to 45, so I'm going to call Belgrade 45 degrees north. So this is what I will write down for my first number. When I am looking at the longitude, I'm following the line that's closest. It is 20 degrees east. and it's between 20 and 25. So I need to make sure that my answer, if it's not 20, is larger than 20. And I'm actually going to estimate that it's over a little bit, that it is 21 degrees east. So when I write down my answer, it's going to be 45 degrees north, 21 degrees east. So 45 degrees north is my latitude, 21 degrees east is my longitude. When you look at this map, this one's a little bit different because it does have the prime meridian on it. So this is going to divide east and west. So make sure you are paying attention. As you're answering questions, if it's over here, it's going to be west. And all of these are going to be east. So make sure you're being very careful as you're working to make so that you are marking things correctly. So if you need to, it might be a good idea to just outline the prime meridian as a little reminder to yourself that, oh, this is where things change. Let's do one more together. Warsaw is our next country. Actually, we're going to go down to number 9 because I've had a lot of questions on this one. Number 9, Copenhagen. Okay, so Copenhagen is right here. Even though it's colored the same as Sweden, Copenhagen is actually in Denmark. So for your country, you are going to put Denmark. It is just above the 55 degree line. It's not close enough to still be 55. I would say it's 56. You could even argue for 57, but I'm going to put 56 degrees north. The longitude, so here is, and again, look here, look at how wide 5 degrees looks here, but it looks closer together here because of the angle of the earth. So kind of think about that when you're doing this. So I can't just necessarily look at distance the same down here as I do up here. So if I know that this is 10 degrees east and this is 15 degrees east, halfway is about there. So it could probably be, which halfway would be 12 to 13, 12 and a half. I think this is probably closer to the 12, but it could be 13. Either one would be fine. I would put 12 degrees east, but again, I think 13 would be just fine as well. So over on my page, I'm going to put 56 north, 12 east. 56 degrees north, 12 degrees east.